Hello everybody, how you doing? Well, here we go again. Now that's what I call music 33. And we have now made it into 1996. So 13 years after this journey began. We're still only a third of the way to now 100. Gordon Bennett, that's an awful lot. And as always, I'm going a couple a day at the moment. Keep thinking I'll take a little bit of a breather. Maybe the third waypoint is a good point as any. But we'll see. Not a great deal else to do at this time. Anyway, how do things look with now 33 then? Well, yet again, almost as many times after he died as before, Freddie Mercury's in the top spot, number one. It's yet another posthumous release. It's Queen, Too Much Love Will Kill You. A song which had already made a now, I think it was now 23, possibly now 22, Brian May. And the story behind this one is it was one that was going to be on their final album, The Miracle, I think, or the album before their final one. It didn't make the cut. I think particularly because Brian May had written it solo and they wanted it full of sort of all band compositions. So it's kind of Brian May's brainchild, and apparently it was originally dedicated not to Freddie, as a lot of people might think, but to good old Angie Watts, Anita Dobson, who Brian was trying to seduce at the time. Anyway, it was kind of repurposed, and it's become about kind of Freddie, I guess. Here's Freddie singing it. Yeah, it's all right. But as I've said before, you know, it's 1996 now. We've got to move on. You know, still 26 million views, so there's still a lot of love for it. All right, let's move on then. But if we do move on, let's not look back in anger. Yeah, it's Oasis, and it didn't take long for a real classic to come in. Possibly the most classic Oasis song of all time. 98 million views. So I'm sure this is going to get to the 100 million any day now. Got the old Imagine intro in there. Yeah, we all love it. We're all singing along. I've got to say that every Oasis song on the Now so far has been really good. Just a great reminder of how good they were. It does go downhill, but at this point, they're absolutely at the top of their game. Who else is sitting here laid off from work because of coronavirus, just wishing it was the 90s again? Yeah, great song. Great piece of popular culture. Okay, another one that's an interesting one. I think I won't play it because I want to keep this going. But it was certainly something quite big when it happened. It's Babylon Zoo and Spaceman. Do you remember that? He came from absolutely out of nowhere, and this song just kind of landed, and it was an instant number one. Very weird song because the first 30 seconds are really cool. They're sort of sped up, helium, dance, and then the whole thing kind of slows down, and then the rest of the song itself starts, and it's a real kind of, it's a bit of a trawl really. So it's genuinely one of those songs where literally only the first 30 seconds is any good, and that's just because it's a normal thing, sped up, and it sounds way better sped up. He also made a very memorable appearance on, I think it was Brass Eye, possibly the Day to Day, with Chris Morris. Did he have any other hits? Maybe, possibly small ones in the wake of it. Absolute one-hit wonder though, really, culturally. Dictionary definition of a one-hit wonder. Babylon Zoo and Spaceman. It was interesting, I suppose. Next up, Supergrass are back with Going Out. This is more like their normal kind of sound than the slightly atypical, alright. And it's still really good though. It actually reminds me of a kind of heavier version of the Beatles in a way. Almost, maybe even the Small Faces. And yeah, great band and a really good song. It's maybe nowhere near as remembered as alright, but it's well worth checking out, and musically still stood the test of time. Okay, it's another classic now, and a great strong start here. Yet again, we've had a few that have had really good strong starts. This is one of my favourite songs of the 90s, and it is, see if you can recognise it, Wait for it. Yep, it's Pulp and Disco 2000. Another Sheffield song. Yeah, just a brilliant kind of story song again. Loads of kind of local landmarks like the fountain down the road. And I'm sure Deborah was a real person. Yeah. And I guess kind of retro futuristic, isn't it? It's coming up to the big year 2000 and that kind of fin de siècle time. I've said before, we're really coming into the late 90s now. And Pulp really kind of captured that zeitgeist with this. It's like all their stuff, it's kind of retro, but it's incredibly modern at the same time, which is Sheffield, really. Sheffield's a city that's modernising all the time, but it's still totally tied with its past, and it will never lose its ties to it. This is Pulp at their absolute best. 13 million views, bit modest. It should be 100 times that in a fair world, but there we go. Okay, right, as always with Nails, very good is followed by pretty shit. Two songs that I'll lump together, share one by one. Meatloaf, Not a Dry Eye in the House. Both kind of like AOR people just sort of churning out the hits to their adoring fan bases. I think they even did a duet together, didn't they? Meatloaf and Cher, at Dead Ringer for Love. Kind of soft rock. We follow them with Enya. She's back again with quite a chirpy one for her. But it's still got the Enya kind of sound thing. She's alright, but it's very difficult to talk about Enya songs, really. They just are. Okay, an interesting single now. Pretty much a one-hit wonder. They might have had a few, but it's the Connells and 74, 75. Which was a big all-American song. That's followed by Boyzone and Father and Son. As always with Boyzone, it's just a cut above the other boy band stuff. Maybe because it's an old Cat Stevens song. I think that's got something to do with it. And, they don't totally massacre it, to be fair. Right, it's another classic now. And it is yet another band who are one of the top of the Britpop bands. Plus, there was a lot more to them than Britpop, and I'm using it as a short term, really. Britpop's not so much a genre as a trend, because musically, these bands were all quite different. It's Blur and the Universal. This is another lovely song. And you've got to say that Blur certainly know how to mix stuff up. No two Blur songs sound the same. They've got the kind of easy listening, almost late 60s thing going on here. Strange kind of time thing with the beat. Nice sort of chimes and stuff. Very haunting song. Okay. This is followed by Paul Weller and Out of a Sinking. It's not one of his most well-known songs, but it's still really good quality. It kind of follows on stylistically from things like Sunflower, quite a kind of retro classic rock sound. We follow this one with Cast and Sandstorm, another good song, good strong indie song. Where does Britpop become indie? I don't know really. It's I think by this point in '96, I think the kind of fad of Britpop's kind of maybe gone a bit, and now it's just genuinely good guitar music. Cast are followed by Mike and the Mechanics. God almighty. They're really, really desperate to have some post-Genesis content in all these nows. I reckon someone who does the compiling is an absolute Genesis fan. There's no Phil Collins at the moment, so we've got Mike and the Mechanics, but it's a remix, I guess. All I Need Is a Miracle, which was I don't even think it was a hit. Fairly well-known 80s song. Don't really think it kind of survives up against stuff like Blur and Pulp. Now, talking of old survivors, here's a real OAP one. Status Quo and the Beach Boys. Fun. Wow. I guess credit to them all for still doing it. And, don't get me wrong, I really like the Beach Boys. 60s Beach Boys, late 60s stuff. Brian Wilson, classic. I've got a soft spot for Status Quo, but I think by this point, it's getting a bit desperate. It's quite funny, I suppose. Okay, another really good song from a local band now. They're from Bradford, I think. And it's their first appearance. And that's TerraVision with Perseverance. Another good, less kind of Britpop-y, more just indie song. And talking of indie classics now, one that I'm sure has had loads and loads of views. It's their first appearance on a now. Sorry guys, it is Lush and Ladykillers. Oh wow, only not even 500,000. I thought this would have had a lot more. Yeah. So where are we now? We're really we're definitely post Britpop now. We're just getting into more classic kind of indie. Very good melodies in a lot of these songs. Really melodically strong. I guess that's why they call it Britpop, because it's still kind of pop songs. It's not kind of like noise as such. It's just the attitude. Okay. This is followed by another great band and another good song. It's Just the One, The Levelers. Maybe not quite as good as This Garden, but it's still a really good song. It's another song about alcoholism and very, very good lyrics, kind of socially conscious again. Wow, this is a really strong side. All the big hitters are out here. It's a question of what to play, what not to play. Let's stick a bit of this one on. Because... Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was the last song on the bends. I will just check that out. It's Radiohead and Street Spirit, Fade Out. Yeah, sorry. It's as I always say, I'm cutting these songs short because I've got so many to play. I've got an awful lot to get through. If you like the songs, go and buy them, download them. Yeah, Radiohead, Street Spirit, 26 million views. Really kind of, from that minute it opens, it's going to be epic. So just fasten your seatbelts and enjoy. It's another one I feel like I just want to sit back and let it play, rather than talking all over it. Yeah, it was on the bends. And it's great that this stuff was on Now albums. Oasis follow, another classic, Live Forever. I've just realised that's the second Oasis song. I never realised that before. But we've already had one, so I won't play it again. But yeah, Live Forever, Oasis, back again. So side one has been a really, really good, strong side, actually. It's had a couple of old duffers in there. But all in all, there's been well over half of it. It's been pretty good. Now we go on to the different side. Side two, traditionally more dancey. Really one that I'm going to gloss over now. The Lighthouse Family, Lifted. I always found their stuff really dull. It was very popular. And I guess, it was kind of musically okay. But Lifted really doesn't lift me. It just kind of sends me to sleep. It's like musical Valium. Good Thing, Eternal. And I don't really remember that one, to be honest. I was thinking of Good Thing by the Fine Young Cannibals. But Eternal is still going. I think Louise has left them by this point. Okay, it's reissue time now, and this must have been from an advert. Classic old soul kind of jazz song. Etta James, I Just Want to Make Love to You. Yeah, what can you say? Classic song. Back again. Followed by not so classic, Never Never Love, Mere Love, Simply Red, totally unfamous. No one ever know that song nowadays. Followed by one that was really, really good actually. Gabrielle. I hadn't really rated anything she'd done up to this point. I thought she was okay. But give me a little more time. Should we stick it on? She's properly got the Motown sound here. She's really done it right. Really kind of old school production. No cheesy synth horns on this one. Proper kind of band aesthetic. Got the drums just right. It's like she had a time machine and went back to the Motown studios. Brilliant. And in fact the top comment says 2020 anybody? This is an absolute timeless classic by one of the best female singers to ever come out of the UK. Wow, I won't go that far, but yeah. It must have been a cover, mustn't it? But I don't think it was. It's the arrangement. It's just so well done. Yeah, I mean, I love Motown anyway. When we had things like the Pasadenas, I was saying I liked it, but I found it a bit sort of plastic. You just have to compare it and contrast to this. This has got the production just right. Now, I've not mentioned Amy Winehouse yet, because she's about 10, 20 years ahead of where we're at. But I don't see why she gets all the plaudits when you had people like Gabrielle doing this stuff, like 10 years before. A way better voice, in my opinion. This is better than anything Amy Winehouse did. It's just lovely. Really nice song. Really, really good. Absolutely sounds like it should have been on Motown. So, nice one, Gabrielle. And I hope I'm proving that I judge his songs more than the artists. I really do. That said, whenever I see those dreaded words, E17, I can't help but being a bit prejudiced. So I'll gloss over that. I mean, yeah, I think I quite like Stay Another Day. I think that was their one good song. Thunder, though, nah. Okay, another good one now. Should we stick it on? Because there's a bit of a drab spell coming up, so I need to plan ahead. We haven't had that much hip-hop on these nows, really. I feel it's been a bit underrepresented. I think that will change in about 10 years. But for now, we just have to enjoy it when it comes in. Here's another classic, really, stoner classic. 103 million views. Loonies, I got 5 on it. Yeah, just stoner hip-hop, really. And I guess the first stoner hip-hop song on a... Now, we hadn't had any Cypress Hill on these at this point. So this is the kind of nearest we get to that. Yeah, classic. Another one that's really hard to talk over. Actually mentioning Cypress Hill in the lyrics. Okay, Prince Nassim of all people. Another Sheffielder, albeit of a rather different kind of style to Jarvis Cocker. Caliphs and Walk Like a Champion, which I suppose is as good as a song by a boxer is ever going to be. Yeah, I think some boxers have done some alright music. I'm trying to think. Did Mike Tyson do any songs? Anyway, Prince Nassim, I wonder what happened to him. He was everywhere, and certainly on a sporting level, it's quite interesting to go back to this time when he was absolutely like winning everything. Shaggy's back again with Why You Treat Me So Bad. Don't really remember that, to be honest, and he's done so many memorable ones that there's no point sort of talking about the ones that aren't remembered. Baby D, So Pure. I think they'd had their moment in the sun with Let Me Be Your Fantasy and I Need Your Lovin'. Third single, Syndrome. Okay, a couple that are really good now. We're back in Houseland, and I'm going to play this next one because it's a real mashup. Oh, sorry, what happened there? That was very amateurish, wasn't it? I don't normally do that. Yeah, Gat Decor and Passion, but it's the Do You Want It Right Now mix. I've already mentioned what they called Degrees of Motion, and they did the original Do You Want It Right Now. They had a big hit with Shine On, which was on Now 28, one of the best songs on it. Gat Decor, Passion, had been an instrumental hit from a few years ago. I had the original 12-inch. And Some Bright Sparks, stuck them both together. And I think this is a classic case where it's greater than the sum of its parts. Both songs on their own are pretty good, but stick them together and you've got absolute club banger. And, you know, mashups, really, they have been on nows for quite a while. I'm thinking, like, You Got The Love by Candy Staton. That was quite an early one. Things like Moments in Soul, JT and The Big Family. So we'd had them for a while. Few and far between, maybe, when they're actual pop hits on their own. And this one's had over 1 million views. Still, it sounds good. Not dated at all, sonically. So, yeah, good stuff. Okay, Gusto, Disco's Revenge. Another good classic kind of handbag house one. 70s disco, Disco's Revenge says it all. That one was remixed a few years later. Not as good. The original's still pretty good at that. And another good club one, Kendo, I Need a Lover Tonight, Nagasaki. And I don't know if it was Japanese or just sort of drawn upon that imagery. It's basically piano house, got a killer vocal hook. And yeah, that's a really good trio, actually. Gut Decor, Passion, Gusto, Disco's Revenge, and Kendo, I Need a Lover Tonight. Okay, Beautiful Life by Ace of Base next. Hey, they're not doing reggae. They've switched to a more kind of dancey, clubby sound. They needn't have bothered, really. There's enough people doing this kind of music. The one thing about Ace of Base that made them above average was that their style was pretty unique. No one else was really doing that kind of thing. Loads of people have been doing Euro, and as a result, it's very anonymous. In Walked Love, Louise. I'm sure it did. So yeah, love one that's really musically not a lot to talk about. Now another good one I'm going to play now, and it's Dubstar. Not So Manic Now. Do you remember these guys? I think they were Geordies. What was the girl's name who sang for them? I forget off the top of my head. Yeah, this is pretty much a cult classic. This is a really good song. And yeah, another thing that's not really made the now so far was this sort of kitsch. I guess St. Etienne started it. Female fronted, very kind of soft, but with kind of darker lyrics. And this song, I think, is about domestic abuse and stuff. It's pretty hard hitting. It's quite a sad song. Again, it's post Britpop. It's got a kind of dancey groove to it. It's a really, really nice song. She's got a really nice voice, and it's got a lot of depth to it. Yeah, this is an underrated classic. Dubstar, Not So Manic Now. That is followed by, I was just talking about them, St. Etienne. Not their greatest moment, he's on their phone, but it's their introduction to a now. Most people probably know them from Only Love Can Break Your Heart, which is another classic song, the old Neil Young song. Also did a good song called You're in a Bad Way. He's on the Phone was okay, but it's very Eurobeat. And most of their stuff was a lot more kind of more electronica, really. Easy listening electronica, very Joe Meek in that kind of paradigm. Okay, another song now that's become a bit of a classic. Maybe as much of a comedy as for its kind of sonics. I liked it then, actually. I always thought it was a weird song. And it certainly inspired a comedy show of the same name. It's Dreadzone and Little Britain. Dreadzone were another of those kind of... a missing link between things like Levelers and Rave, and the kind of crusty side of Rave, the Traveller side, dubby, kind of quite ambient. This song, very, very original kind of song. It's got all the kind of strings, that pastoral strings, all the samples about England, so it's kind of social. It definitely taps into a deeper England than political or cultural England. In my mind, this is more kind of actual sort of geographical. It makes me think of actual mountains and rivers and landforms, about the island of Britain, maybe. I don't know if that's intentional, it's just what it makes me think of. The Yorkshire Dales, the Peak District, the Pennines. But that's the Britain I love. That's my England, the backbone of England, the geographical island of England. And for a song that's basically instrumental, it's got some vocal samples. It does kind of get you thinking. They do say that songs with lyrics, I think they get your right brain going, and songs that are instrumental, more kind of left mind. So yeah, it's a bit hypnotic. The seagulls and stuff. Really good kind of dubby low end to it, with kind of half speed breaks almost. It's almost like two tempos at once, fast and slow, and you can sort of make your choice which one you're going to skank along to. I love this, actually, and I don't think being in the TV show ruined it. It's just great music. So yeah, Dreadzone, Little Britain. Another weird kind of electronica one now, Goldbug, Whole Lot of Love. And that had the Pearl and Dean film music on it, and I think it had Led Zeppelin as well. I don't know if it's a sample or just replayed. Not really played a lot now, kind of mash up. It was okay. Big beaty, I suppose you'd call it. Finally, a pretty dreadful song, but I guess you'd call it Gabba, or the first thing on a now that even vaguely resembles Gabba, but kind of novelty. Technohead, I Want to Be a Hippie. Almost unlistenable, really. But it's certainly not a bland ballad. When you think normally on the nails they end side two with a really forgettable ballad, it's actually quite nice to have something with a bit of oomph. So, what a very varied album, actually. And I really enjoyed it. I really have. I think we've actually, now 29, now 31, now 32, and now 33. Maybe not now 30, but 4 out of the last 5 have been, like, effing good. So this is a real high point in Now's evolution. And maybe it just says something about the charts in general, because at the end of the day, Now's a bit like Top of the Pops. You know, they only play what's popular, and they kind of follow rather than lead. And I'm well aware of that doing this, you know. But at this point, there's quite a good overlap between what's popular and what's good. Breaking it down then, Too Much Love Will Kill You, moderately. Don't Look Back in Anger, hell yeah. In a kind of kitsch one-hit wonder way, Spaceman. Disco 2000 by Pulp, absolutely. Then there's a bit of a gap. Then we get to, I think in indie circles, Terrorvision, Perseverance, Lush, Lady Killers, and Just the One, The Levelers. Street Spirit, I think Radiohead's more than indie. I think that's Mass Appeal. Live Forever, Oasis, Ditto. Classic, Etta James, I Just Want to Make Love to You. I think maybe a slightly forgotten classic, but a really good song, and I think it is a classic. Gabrielle, Give Me a Little More Time. A hip-hop classic or a stoner classic, I got 5 on it. Some house classics, Gat Decor, Passion, Gusto, Disco's Revenge, Kendo, I Need a Lover Tonight. Then some good, I'd say Dubstar is a kind of obscure one, worth checking out. This, yeah, it's a kind of culty classic. It became a comedy sort of classic, I suppose, inadvertently. So yeah, there we go. Now 33. I enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. All right, I'll be back whenever. I won't say tomorrow. It'll be whenever I can be asked to do it with Now 34. So you take care. Stay safe. Bye.